it's a good number to get started. Okay, welcome everyone. Today we have a very special issue of our series. We have a very, important and always actual topic of the discussion for Nocode world in general and for Bubble in particular, and it's pretty much applicable to, I guess, every business that gets started and is looking to to be there long term and for the long run, which I'm sure every one of you, is very much concerned about. Today, our guest is Benoît de Montecler. Benoît is the founder of Nocode, nohack startup, about which we're going to be talking about a lot today. And Benoît is offering his expertise in security with specifically in application to the Bubble applications and in general no-code applications, I guess, but with a high focus on Bubble apps, because this is what we are ready to discuss today in a lot of details. I'm sure that it's going to be interesting for people to know more about it. So Benoît, welcome, yes. And thank you for being here.
Thank you a lot, and thank you to inviting me here, because I'm really happy to share about security and Bubble, and also because I discovered Bubble thanks to Zero Code. It's 4 years ago, I think. So it's so I'm really happy.
Interesting
to be here.
I wasn't aware. Yes. Can you tell a bit more about that before we jump into it? So
yes,
it's like a fun story.
I think it was on Product Hunt for Twitter, like, I think, or something like that.
Right.
Yes, it was a template on Product Hunt, I think. And so I was checking what is Zero Code, and after that, I see that it was on Bubble. But first thing, it was just Zero Code. I say, wow. Yes, I think everybody has its own way to discover Nocode.
For sure. It's a great story. I was sure that all the French people are actually hearing about Bubble from Emmanuel. So it's fun to know that some of them are actually hearing about it from Zero Code.
That's for sure. And also, sorry for my English, because I'm French, and maybe it's okay for you, but wait. The first things the first things to tell about Nocode and especially Bubble is that it's normal that security is not your priority, because when you launch your project on Bubble, the first things to do is to find first user, first customers, and you don't care about security. And it's normal. I made the same mistakes. But as soon Nocode today is becoming a wheel for huge companies, for a wheel production app, you need to check your security, and maybe you need to learn about security of Nocode before launching your own app. And I know that it is really hard to force you to do that, but it is really important, because 70% of apps that are tested on our application have a critical issue. So
yeah, that was one of my first questions. So how big is an issue? So it looks like it's really big. Yeah.
I can share my screen. You need to, Vlad, to...
Yes, just 1 second. While you're on it, we actually wanted to give a couple of words about the format today. So usually we start off with a discussion, and then somewhere throughout the conversation, we're actually sharing the bonuses today that are given by our guests. But today we actually wanted to shift gears a little bit, and Benoît actually wanted to share a gift with all of you people that are either watching this live or watching the recording. So I'll let Benoît present what exactly that gift is, but it's actually something very valuable, very important, and of course related to the security. Benoît, what do you want to tell us more about that?
Yes, for sure. Yes, for Zero Code especially, we are giving a coupon 50% off, and the duration is only for the 48 hours. On annual plan. So I will share my screen for the other things, but
perfect.
So for the recording, you have the So the promo code is really original. It's only 0 code.
Thank you. That's very nice.
It's only for you. So for the next 48 hours. So okay. I want to, where I can put that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, for sure. So first, Knucklehack is just a plugin checking all your bubble app. So I will explain you how to secure your app, but just to introduce yourself what we are doing. So you just add your app URL here, and then you just click on check now, and after you have a full report of your app. Mm-hmm. You need just to install the plugin to authenticate your app, because for sure, if you can scan every app without checking if it is your own app, we will have some problem. So that's why we have you need just to add the plugin to authenticate. But what we are checking on your app is only things public. We don't go in your app with the plugin. So it's just a scan outside the app. And also, when you register, you have an ebook with how to secure your bubble app. So you will have it directly with many things to on Bubble and how to secure your app. So
that's very smart.
So today I want really to share you the main things, the things that we see on every apps, and it is really dangerous. So I want to share you everything, and we will list all parts of what we are checking with our tool. So the first thing to know with Bubble is that all your page are public. So all the page list is public. And when we begin Bubble, we create many test pages with many table, with many data, with many do a search for anything.
Yep, everybody does that. Yep.
With many connection with API, with a connection to your workflow, to your backend workflow API, many things. And as all the pages are public, we discover every day admin pages with many data. So be really careful about that. By only have pages with redirection if the role is not good. So with admin redirection role, etc. Yep. So that is really important. And just for information, it is the first thing for me I know strange about security with Bubble, and it was my starting point to check all things on Bubble, because as soon as I see that all the pages are public, I go deeper and I see that everything is public with Bubble. So, for example, the another things public is all the API connector. So if you go there, and there too, on the API connector, all the API name are public. All the API call URL are public. And I see many things here, like webhook with Integromat webhook. And as soon as you put here a webhook, or maybe, for example, token equal your token, this URL is public. So never put something here with a critical data.
Yeah, this was shocking actually to me. So shocking that I before we actually agreed with this conversation with Benoit to make it as a series, I actually reached out to Emmanuel and you said, Emmanuel, we discovered some things and they're really, really interesting, but really shocking. Are you okay with us to actually go on a podcast and talk about this? He said, yeah, that's fine. We actually are even referring the Nocode nohack as the go-to party for evaluation of your security. Mm-hmm. So it's actually a great thing. I think Bubble team actually very much appreciates you making this very formal, very structured, because it's not intuitive. Basically, you kind of assume that this is an internal part of your application, and it's not, people are not going to be messing with that. But actually, definitely kudos to you from both ourselves, community, and even the founders of Bubble, to make sure you're making this so accessible and visible. So definitely, this was one of the things I was personally shocked after 5 years of working on Bubble. So yeah, good one.
Yes, it is really hard to understand, because as soon it is a server call side, we don't understand why it is public, and because it is not on the client side. So it's really strange, but you need to know that it's public, and you can see that there is no text or documentation to say that this URL is public.
It's public, yeah.
So if you don't know, you don't know.
Now you do.
So I can share you here a tips that it isn't in our ebook. Is if you want to have a URL private, just put as a parameter, and you put here your webhook, and you check private here.
It's actually pretty cool. Yeah.
With that, all your URL are private.
Nice.
So it's really simple to do, but I think that everybody in your API connector plugin need to do.
For sure. I'm pretty sure that at some point Bubble will probably incorporate it into their core product. But yeah, until they do that, that's a very good suggestion.
Yes, and you need to understand all that Bubble want to let us do what we want. So they give us a liberty to do anything. And so if you want to do an app with a data breach, they will let you do that. And they can't scan all the app. They can check every app to alert someone, because a list of 1,000 email is public. So they can't. So really, you need to learn to check your app. The another thing public here is if, for example, you have an API connector that asking a different token for each user. For example, so you need to inject private to be able to change this value during the workflow. And for example, here, if you let the default value, because here I let the default value, but this value won't be used because it will be changed each time in the workflow. But this default value is public. So if during your testing, your test, you just let your bearer for your account just for testing, it will be public because you haven't checked private. Yeah.
So you need to initialize and then remove any sensitive information from the default values, right? For them not to be visible. Exactly. It's pretty cool as well. Not intuitive. So good to know.
Exactly. And also all the initialization data is public.
Wow. Okay.
So if you check I think that it is really a small issue, but maybe you need to know, but it is public and it is not weighted somewhere. I think that it is all for the API connector. I'm just checking. But after, yes, you know that if you inject private, for sure, here it's public, but I just show you that here. No, I think that it's okay for the API connector.
Private is your friend. Okay.
Yes.
Good to know.
Exactly. And we come back on the report. So we have seen the pages, the API connector. Now I want to share you the database structure. So it's something that you can't change. All your database structure is public. So that means that if you have some it is just some things that will help your hacker to attack your app, because as soon as they know how your app works with all the database structure, it's really easy to understand. So it is not a big issue, but you just need to know that all your structure is public. So here, for example, you have the database structure of MongoPay event. If I go here, you see that I have the same things.
Okay, so you're getting the field names, that is, right?
Only for the field name and also the default value. So for example, here, if I go here, the default value is public.
Right. Okay. So no sensitive information and default values and privacy rules for pretty much everything.
Yes. So we can't access data in, but only the privacy rules. So it is a good start. And after there are the option sets. And for the option sets, you have all the data structure and also the value. It's normal because it is to be quicker on each page. So on each page, so it's just to load quickly. But I see many token and AWS token, AWS token, sorry, in that, and many sensitive
information.
Yes, so you need to know that all your option sets are public, and I was really shocked by all the courses about how to build a bubble app, and the teacher didn't know that. And I see many teachers as experts that don't know security things on Bubble, and I think that it is a real problem, because it is really easy to do an app on Bubble, but to do a production Bubble app, it is not the same thing. So be careful.
Totally. I was just wondering. There's a few good questions actually we have from the audience, and I also wanted to ask you about the process of how you discovered that. So basically, there's a lot of work that you guys have obviously put into this to make it so comprehensive and make it so detailed, and we didn't even go through the half of it, but it's already very impressive. I'm sure that a lot of people are a little worried by now. So I was wondering, I mean, let's start with how did you guys actually do the scanning? So did you have some prior expertise in security, or did you kind of just use the best practices? So how did that actually work for you guys?
Yes, I discovered that when we call data on a page with a do a search, I discovered that when we call only the two fields in the console with Chrome, we can see all the other fields, and it was thanks to Ideable. No, I think so, because I worked with them on my first project on Bubble, and they learned me that. And after that, I go deeper and I see many other things about that. But I'm not a cyber security specialist, not at all. But for Nocode security, you don't need to be an expert. You just need, because some of app that we tested with a several issue, with a critical issue, have passed security test with a certification, and these experts didn't see the data breach that we see, because it is so easy to see the things that a security expert don't see it. So it is really a game changer, I think, to secure your bubble app, because you can't believe the security expert. So it's because, for example, about the data API, for example, it is only a link to access to the data, but a security expert can't see this link if he don't know bubble.
Yeah, that's for sure. We have a question about the data API, by the way. So you were mentioning that basically that the table structure and some values or some default values are public in Bubble. Does that apply to the apps where the data API checkbox is disabled, meaning that you can enable the access to your data API via the defined URL structure? So, but is it public even if you disable that, or how does that work?
No, yes, we see all the database structure even if the data API is not checked.
Is disabled. Okay, got it.
The only thing that we can see if you don't enable a data API is the data API.
So the actual data itself, right? So,
yes, exactly. The data, and also if you uncheck the workflow API, a public endpoint, for sure we can't see them.
All right, so that's reassuring.
It's there as the workflow API that we can see directly. So all the workflow API are public. For sure, it is normal. It is made for that. But I see many apps with a workflow API public without security. So we can change many data on Bubble apps just by checking all their endpoints of their Bubble app. So so maybe we can add a user, we can change the role, we can add a plan, a premium plan on a SaaS, because there is a Stripe API to change the plan. So it is amazing how it's not secure, this part.
So I'm sure that there's a lot more to explore, but when I first spoke to you, my first question was, okay, this is a little concerning. So and the first thing that I had in my mind is basically you had the conversation about that with Emmanuel, right? So, and you were presenting those findings to him. So how did that conversation go? Just for, I'm sure, because this is a question in some people's minds. So what did he say? How did he react? And not him personally, but he as the representative of Bubble, what was his view?
I think that his first reaction was when you give some code tools to developer, there many data breach, because they can do many things. But if you give to no coders no code tools, it is worst. I don't know how to say that in English, but it is. So he said that for him, he understands that as soon he gives the liberty to all users to create what they want, he know that they will do. I will check my words. Sorry. They will do wrong things, bad things, bad apps, and
sure,
and he can't check that. So they prefer to be focused on Bubble, on features, and let the user be responsible about his security.
That makes sense. Yeah, of course.
I think that all users want that, because we prefer to have Bubble focusing on features, performance, and everything else, and not about how to help users to build an app secure. Yes, I think that there are many courses online to learn Bubble, and it is not their job, I think.
One more question before we carry on with the review of your application. Basically, just to make sure that we calm people down a little bit. So all these highlights that you are exposing and sharing, basically there is a solution pretty much for every one of them, right? How to let's say, take care of this vulnerability, such as you presented the API connector, for example. Okay, this is public and this is public, but if you do it like this, it's secure. So same with the data API, the data endpoints, the table structure. So the table structure is visible, but if you not put any default sensitive information into default values and the option sets, it is secure. So basically, I assume that throughout the whole discovery process and your application review, there is a solution for each of the issues that we are going to be going over with, right?
Yes, for sure. Yes, for sure. And that's why we have weighted this guide is ready to give all the solution how to secure your app. And with that, you will find for each part something to secure it.
Okay, that's reassuring. So definitely there's a lot to learn, but there's a solution for every problem that we're highlighting. This is good to know. Okay, so API endpoints, what's going on with these? So they are public.
Yeah, so the API endpoint, so you can see the secure one and the insecure one. So you can see very quickly which are which endpoint we can call. And also we can see all the parameters of each endpoint. So really we can really know what this endpoint want to get as data, and so we can really activate your app without you directly by just calling your API endpoint. So be very careful about that, and so add each time a security or something to avoid people using your API workflow endpoints.
Okay.
So after that, we have also, yes, it is a massive issue, I think, but it is important to know. All the static content is public. So to introduce it, it's really important to understand, as we know all the page list, so we can see all the URL of all the page of your Bubble app. We can download all the static content of each of them, even if there is a redirection rule of on
the page.
So if you have some email template directly in your page, we can see it. If you have some webhook because you have an action calling a webhook directly in your workflow, it is public. Yes, because all the static content in your workflow is also public. So, for example, here, on which page I am admin. I go to admin. Workflow. So this content is public in your app, and so it's not an issue as soon as you know that. But when you start your app quickly, you add many things here, like your email template, everything that you want, and a competitor can know all your email template, for example, or a competitor can know how works your app with your workflows, and they can see what you display on your admin page. He can see the data for sure because it is secure in your database, but he can see all the text around it. So yes, for the static content, and in the static content, we can also see all the condition to display things. So we can also change the condition. So if you hide a block or a group because you need that this user need to be admin, you can change this role only for this group, and you can display it. So when you hide a group, know that it is public.
Right. So the workflow contents are public and the group contents are public, even if you have the page redirect. So that's not enough to kind of secure and cover the page. So if someone is really determined to get to it, so you'll have to work with the privacy rules, I guess, right?
Yes, and that's really the final point to secure your app. And after that, workflow API, I talk about it, static also option API connector. So we can talk about data API. And after we will talk about privacy rules because it is really the main things after. So on data API, you need to know that we can list all your data API list. So we can see directly which type of your data is are public here. And with our tool, we directly check if there is sensitive data in. So that's why for this one, it's a critical because we have seen here some email, and here we don't see anything, so it is normal. And normally we don't see many things because you have some privacy rules avoiding to people just be able to download all your data without authentication. So and this part is, I think, the biggest problem on Bubble app, because we can directly with one URL check directly if the user are public on every apps, and you can try, but don't do that. But on every apps, you can see, I think for 10% maybe all the email address of the apps. So it's really annoying, and really you need to share that with others to secure their app. It's really important. So without that, the Nocode can't go to the production level. And we want to have Nocode on production level with big companies. So it's now to avoid that and to avoid this with this bad reputation. We need to have people like your user adding security.
Yeah, we need more people like you, Benoit, that will be discovering this and telling us all about this and educating us. So yeah, that's very humbling.
And after we have a check about privacy rules here, and I will explain you how it works. It's very easy. We go on each pages, and we just get all the data that we can have. And if we see some email, bearer, or URL, we directly get it and we show it there. And the problem that the bad part about that is that even if you have a redirection rule on the page, for example, and the table of all your user is on the admin page, and you don't add privacy rules on your user, for example, and you have a redirection on this page, but if you don't put some privacy rules on your user data, we can download the data even if there is even if there is a redirection rule. So it's really important to don't protect your data with a redirection. You really need to have privacy rules.
So there's no way around privacy rules, right? So you have to have them, and that's for sure.
Yes.
All right. So yeah.
And after, so we will talk about privacy rules now. So as you understand, the only thing to do to secure your data is privacy rules.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it is not easy to understand privacy rules, but I think that my first privacy rules I made in Bubble that was when user is login, show it. But if you just secure your app with that, it is not secure, because as soon any user is login, he can access to all your data, not only him.
Right.
So it's really important to know that. And the last video about privacy rules made by Bubble is really nice, I think. They updated it in July, and it is really nice. And you will learn how to just secure data about this user. And for example, here you have a current user people is these people. It's not only current. These things is really important to secure your app. And that's why in your database structure, you need to be able to secure your app. So you need to be able to link things together to be sure that you can define a privacy rules for this data. So you need to link each data with the user to be able to do that.
Right.
So it is not easy for that to rebuild your app after you already did that without privacy rules. So it is really important to learn about privacy rules from the beginning of the building of your app.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
But it is not the easy part. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think this is the issue that most people run into. So they first concentrate on building the logic of their application. And then when they're happy with it, they're saying, okay, now let's take care of security. And they start switching on the privacy rules, and suddenly things stop working. And they're like, oh, okay, I mean, it was working perfectly fine. And now all these privacy rules are getting in the way. So, and finally, I mean, people end up removing parts of those, or maybe even just scratching them altogether, because it takes too long to kind of reverse integrate the security, rather than building from the security in mind from the start, right? So, but unfortunately, that's how most of the things are happening. First, if you're validating the idea, then you're taking care of security. I think that's at least how it was working for me a lot of times. So first I built something that I liked, and then I was starting to think about security, but it was difficult to incorporate on this stage.
For one of our customer who wanted to add a privacy rules, we have a process to do that, because it is really hard to add privacy rules on an existing app. So to do that, the best way is just to begin by creating all the field in each data type to be able to create good privacy rules.
Yeah, I've just had this question answered in the chat. People are asking, so you have to add the user field to each data type to kind of relate it to the current user?
No, it is not to add for each data type user. You need to have one way to find the user by one branch, one step.
Right.
So if it is linked to one item, linked to one user, it's okay. But without this link in two steps, it is impossible to secure your app. And so the best way to just to add fields to begin by checking if you can define the privacy rules, and after you need to fill these fields. And so during the first week, you just check if all your field that you created for the privacy rules are filled by your workflows and everything else. As soon as you see that, you can see, okay, my workflow works to fill each new field I created, and now you can uncheck the view all field for everyone else, and normally your app works.
Okay.
But do not do that in only 24 hours. Let you 1 week and check if all your new fields
nothing breaks.
Yes.
All right. So just kind of try and sum it up, because there were that was basically people are a little worried with the fact that they may be exposed in some parts of their application. So there is a question. I'm literally reading it. So, and let me try to answer it as well, by the way, and you'll correct me if I got something wrong. So there was a Francis is writing us that this is scary. You can see, if you can see items, even if it's structure, then supposedly private doesn't give comfort to people or enterprise who value or are paranoid about data. This can be used by hackers to target your app for hacking if they know the kind of data you have. Until coding fixes this no-code setting, won't make privacy setting actually private. Let me try to answer that, and Benoit, please correct me if I'm wrong. So basically, yes, your structure is visible, but your data is actually protected if you set up your privacy rules correctly, and if you're not exposing any, let's say, API workflows as public or being able to run without authentication. So if you're setting up the authentication rules for people to interact with your app, basically, if they're calling your API, there should be some token in it. And otherwise, it's basically not accessible. And plus, your app itself contains the privacy rules like the one we just described. For example, if you're adding a user field to a data type and then only allowing the application to access the data within that user type, if that rule checks, then your app is safe, because you are the only person who can have access to that data, even if it's via data API, workflow API, or directly via Bubble application. So did I get this right?
Yes, it is that. I think that as soon you know that everything is public by default in Bubble, the only way to secure your app is are the privacy rules. And when you start with Bubble, you feel okay about security just by add the redirection on the page, by hide the group, by so you think that your app is secure, but not because you use another things that privacy rules to secure your app. And it is, I think, that the first way how everybody secure their app in Bubble is by not using the privacy rules. So when we share that to everybody, the goal about that is to warn everybody to use privacy rules now, and don't wait.
Right. So start with the privacy in mind. That's what the message is. And the privacy rules are your best friend that will take care of the data. And then some small things on the corners about the tokens in the API and option sets. And that's also something that's good to know. So basically, your application, your platform, your plugin, there were a couple of questions about that as well. Can we ask you a few more of these, or is there anything else important that we need to go over with before I ask about the technicalities of the analysis that you guys are doing?
No, I think that I talked about many things about the app. Just check that. No, it's okay. Maybe the only one thing is that we are checking your app as a public user, so not a log user. And
that's important. Yeah.
And in the next features, we will check the app with one user login. And with that, we will be able to find many other data breach, because we will be able to check the privacy rules deeper. But for now, it's only as a public user.
Pretty cool. I think that's usually the kind of the first thing to take care of. So if as a public user, your application is safe, then you can sleep easy at night knowing that you're mostly secure. So basically, there's a question again from Francis that is has still a concern about compliance with security expectations. And if you will allow me, Benoit, I will also try to answer this, and you will let me know if I got this right. His stance is that looks like no app is really fully safe, but can you say confidently you did your part for security and you're no longer liable after? I guess that there's probably no way to say that you're 100% safe and secure pretty much in any system on any framework, and it's not necessarily a problem with no code. Hearing about all these crazy data breaches every other month happening in the world, and people's data getting leaked and all that. So I guess that nobody is like 100% safe, but I think Benoit's application and Benoit's analysis, and in general, what we have been speaking about today, is a bulletproof start to make sure that there are no low-hanging fruits, no obvious mistakes, and then no easy ways to access your data. I would say that from what it looks like to me, if you take care of all the points listed in this analysis and then some that we went over, I'm pretty sure that you can say that you did a good job and and did your part for the security. It's good to point out that some of the security concerns may also be multi-layered, as Benoit pointed out. Public versus logged in is one big denominator, meaning that if you're letting a person into your application, that's already something, because some apps are very secure, and pretty much if you're not invited, then you can't get in. But within the app itself, there may be some concerns of, let's say, simple users not being able to access the admin stuff. And it looks like this is something that's coming up in Benoit's update very soon. Benoit, do you have any ETA of when that's going to happen for people to?
It is like the responsive engine. I won't share the ETA.
Oh yeah, bubble. That's the bubble way. Don't share the firm ETA. Yes,
never.
Emmanuel, if you're watching this, we learn quickly from you. Okay. There's another good question about the data security. So trying to sum it up, and there will be a couple more questions about the tools that you have been using, but I think this is a good question. So we have validated, let's say, with a very deep and intricate understanding of how Bubble application actually functions, right? So as you said, security expert will not necessarily know how exactly the privacy rules are set up, how do you do redirect on page load or hide a group, so they will probably overlook all these things, and then this application gives a very Bubble aware analysis of your app, which is fantastic and is exactly what we need. But how about, let's say, the standard hacking methods, which we hear about, like SQL injections or RC, CSRF, account takeovers, and then stuff like that. So how do you have any plans to kind of assess that as well? I may have my stance on this, but what do you think? How would you answer that question?
I think that this part is done by Bubble, because yes. All the injection part, everything. If we can create something with like authentication for Facebook, but we can do that with Bubble. It is directly in Bubble application.
Right.
So as soon it is not on the user responsibility, we don't check that. We only check what the user can do with Bubble. But we only secure that. And for the part of really security expertise, it is only on Bubble part, I think.
Right. Yeah, I agree to that. That's my understanding as well, because it's not only the Bubble itself, but it also comes down to the infrastructure level too, because Bubble is leveraging the components from the AWS, meaning all their instances and all their servers are actually running on AWS. So there's encoding, there are firewalls, there are standard protocols that AWS uses to protect all of its data. So while obvious things like that are on top of what AWS actually knows that it should be covering, but I think that I agree with you here that the methods which are more, let's say, low level and more straightforward and brutal are are something that I'm sure that Bubble has actually, and AWS is equally caring about. And I think there's even a reference somewhere in Bubble's documentation about how exactly the data is being encoded, salted, hashed, and all that stuff. And maybe we can even share that as a follow-up to this discussion. I think we actually inquired specifically this information from Bubble back in the day, and this looks pretty solid on their side. So that's a good thing. Okay, there was another question about the plugin that you guys are using, and I also wanted to inquire more about the app itself. So first question that was from the audience. So how does your plugin actually work? So is it something that you just plug in once, analyze, and plug off, or is it something that you want to stay and keep in the application for a longer amount of time? And how does it affect performance, if at all? Because it looks like it's kind of doing a very thorough scan of things. Is it lightweight, or is it not too?
So it is only for the authentication. So you can unplug the plugin after that, and the plugin is open source. So you can check what is in, and you will see that it is only adding some meta tag in your website. So it is only to add meta.
Right. So it's super lightweight, just authentication. Okay,
yes.
Pretty cool. Okay, I actually wanted to ask about something about the application itself. So I see that your dashboard that you're showing us right now is built on Bubble.
Yes,
I see. Yeah, that's important. So how about the components? Through which you're actually doing the analysis? What does your app actually consist of? Can you tell us about the process of creation? It's very interesting to know. What are you using to scan Bubble vulnerabilities? Are you using Bubble to test Bubble, or was there what is the component in between?
No, yes, it was really a pleasure to create this app because we work with my partner. He is will developer for him, and so he did all the back part. So all the scan engine and everything else. And me, right. I built all the front part. So it was really fun to have a front and a back in code and front with Bubble. And so in only, I think, 1 month, I created all the fronts of this app. But the real difficulties are on the back with the scan engine and with the scoring of each vulnerability. And that's really important because as we talk to no developer, we need to have a report really simple to understand. So we need to only show really a critical issue. And that's why we check if this email is on the domain of the website or if it is a client email because it is like a Gmail or anything else. We check if it is a blur or not, if it is a token or not. We check if this URL is strange or not. So we are checking many things to be able to share to the user only a critical issue. And with this scoring, so that's the really hard part of our app, right? And so we need to be able to scan each app. So it was really a huge work to understand how Bubble works and how we can check, how we can see every public things. But so how we did that, it was with Canvas template. We did that, and so it is really similar. It is really the first things of Canvas, but I made many changes on it. For example, in the lists, and the main thing I changed is the 3 column, and it is really hard to have 3 column in Bubble. And I made it, and so you can scroll on the second column. it was really hard to do that. So I'm really happy to do that. But I think that with responsive engine, it will be easier.
Right. So basically, you created your application yourself, starting from a template. Did I get that right?
Yes, but it is a general template with Canvas.
Right. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you've taken it a long way from where it was standing initially, but it's great to see more applications that are being created from a template, like as a baseline, because we're big proponents of building from templates, and we believe that maybe not in all of the cases, but in a lot of the cases, this can be a very good head start for people starting up with their applications, taking care of the visuals, taking care of the functionals. So Zero Code is definitely one of the big supporters of templates, and it's great to see more founders like yourself who are trying it out and are actually I mean, this application looks great, so kudos on that.
Yeah. Yes, it is a fun. I think that you don't found it is each people do what you want, but if you begin Bubble if you begin Bubble development with a plugin with a template, sorry,
yeah,
it is really hard to understand how this template works. Really hard. So I think that it is better to learn with by himself to create from scratch an app, and after with a template, you will be more confident to change it and to improve it.
Yeah. Sometimes you're right. Some people are actually using templates for educational purposes. Maybe they're kind of reverse engineering. Okay, how did they do this? This is how this was done. So, okay, let me try and do it. And then, okay, it works. So it's kind of like an educational part as well. But you're right. There's no one way that works for everyone. But I'm guessing that the best way to know is probably to try out both and see what works for you for this particular purpose, which is great. So we have a few more questions about the no code, no hack, if you don't mind. We actually wanted to mostly focus on discoveries and yourself. So do you mind if I put you on the big screen now again?
This one?
Yeah. No, actually, I meant yourself.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. If you have some question about the plugin or anything else, do not hesitate to send me an email or just send me a message on LinkedIn. I will be happy to help to have a Nocode more secure in the future.
Yeah, for sure. That's was one of my questions. And sorry, Benoit, looks like your video went off. Can you put it back on again?
What's happened?
Just a second. Yeah, there you go. You should be able to do it now.
He sent me that you stopped my camera, so I can't.
Yeah, now you should be able to.
You see my screen? I have
There you go. Okay. Yeah, we see your screen. So, yeah, perfect. Thank you. Okay. There was a couple more questions. I think, again, I wanted to ask a couple more questions about the app itself. So besides the value of the knowledge that you've shared today, you're actually running a business, right? So no code, no hack is definitely sharing a lot of information for free, but there is also a paid version of the application. Do you want to tell us a bit more about how exactly does that work? What's the pricing structure, and what are you offering on, let's say, on a free tier and on a paid tier, and what are the levels?
For sure, the free tier is massive. We have everything free by default. The only things that are premium are the privacy rule test. It's really important to have it, because it is harder to do that, and it is really an advanced feature. So that's why it is paid, and it's checking what is public when we scan your website. And the other thing is the schedule test. So if you have a premium plan, you can check each month your app. So as we know, we change the app very often with Bubble. So you just add a schedule test each month, for example, and with that you will be able to avoid some mistake on that. It's taken on our part on the backend part is taking a lot of energy to do each scan. So it is hard to have something free for everything. So that's why we need to have something.
Of course.
Pay for that. But with the free things, with that you can start. It is really important. Only that it is really important. And you have in the free plan the Bubble security book. And after it is more for the agencies to check their app. We have the privacy rules advance, and it will be soon with the role-based checking security.
Right, for logged in users, right?
So it is not yet live, but it will be there soon. And for the agencies, we have the team management. So you can share an app and is report only with the freelance working on it. And you have also the API to directly launch a test from your project management tool, for example. And you can also create the app and directly add the product manager and the developer on it. So it is interesting for your automation in your agency process.
Right. So your premium levels are more for the agencies, like the higher end ones, and the first. Basically, I think that pretty much everything that you explained to us is more or less available in a free level, with maybe a couple of exceptions, except the scheduled tests, right?
And also the privacy rules test.
Right. And for the premium, you get it a year with the way to check your application regularly, like as it grows and changes, to make sure you have your hand on the pulse, right?
That's for sure.
Okay.
And
makes a lot of sense.
Our plan are available at monthly payments. So you can try it only 2 months, and that's all. And also we have a security consulting. If you need help to secure your app, you can contact us for that. And,
right.
And we are launching a course about security with Bubble. So it will be available at the end of December, and we will explain everything in Bubble directly with 10 videos about security with Bubble. So
pretty cool.
Also pre-order that if you are interested in it.
I'm sure that a lot more people will be interested in it after today's discussion. So yeah, there's a question if the course is going to be available in French.
It's only in English, but as I am French, maybe I will do the both. But first, it is English. Sorry.
Right. No problems. Last question. So when can people contact you, and how do they actually get in touch? Looks like there was a contact form on your website.
Yes, you can chat with us directly here, and it's me behind that. So if you talk to me right now, it's not possible for me to answer. But if you talk there, or it will be my partner. And also you can contact me directly by email or on LinkedIn.
Perfect. All right, Benoît, thank you very much. I think this was a very, very thorough, very interesting, and also very educational video and discussion. So I'm sure that a lot of people got much more than they were expecting from today's session. You not only provided and described all the challenges, but also gave us most of the solutions. Basically, if I can sum it up in one sentence: take care of the privacy rules, build with the privacy rules in mind from the first day, not backwards. And then also know about some of the edge cases, such as your API connector, your workflows, and page redirects do not guarantee your application being secure. So definitely those are the key takeaways with a lot more details. available in our discussion. And also, as a fellow Nocode founder, I think it was great to know a bit more about your business, about how it was created. It was great to know that you started from a template. I mean, we're trying to preach more about that. It's a fair point that maybe from a first-time founder and first-time starter, this may be a bit of a challenge to kind of build the application from a template. But there's an opinion that actually this may be very helpful because a person can actually discover a lot more, trying to see about, let's say if somebody would have a template of your application, they would know exactly how to set up those 3 lines in a dashboard and take it from there. So very, very good. And as a final reminder, Zerocode and Benoit are providing a discount code for no-code, no-hack services. So check it out. The promo code is Zerocode. It's so nice of you. And it's a 50% discount on annual plan and valid for next 48 hours. So be sure to check that out. I'm sure people are going to get a lot of value from it. And Benoit, I thank you very much for your time. And I'm sure that people had a lot of fun having this conversation, and always great to talk to you. Thank you. Let's plan to talk again when you'll have the next version of your platform next year. Let's see where things are with bubble security then. And I'm 100% sure that some of the discoveries that you made will be actually incorporated by Bubble Core applications. So that will be probably the best, one of the very, very, great flexes, I would say. So if Bubble listens to you and does things that you're saying, you're probably saying something right.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you a lot. And also we are in the official documentation of Bubble in the security part. And yes, I think that it's really important to learn about security and to share that Nocode is not secure by default. Yes.
Right.
Yes, it's really important.
I guess the truth is that nothing is secure by default. So this is something that people have to understand, realize. And a lot of things are a lot easier to take care of with Bubble and with Nocode in particular, because otherwise you would have to work on a very low level to take care of all these things. Bubble gives an easy way to take care of that. And Benoit's application actually guides you through that as well. So thank you for your time this evening. You have a wonderful one, and thank you everyone for listening, and I'll be talking to all of you soon.
Thank you a lot. Thank you all.
Thank you, Benoit. Bye bye.
Thank you, Vlad.